There comes a point in every life when the noise around you fades. The cheers, the criticism, the opinions, the doubt. And all that remains is a single question echoing in the silence. What are you willing to sacrifice to become who you are meant to be? That question is not asked in comfort. It doesn't appear when life is easy or when the path is smooth. It comes when your back is against the wall and emotions fluctuate. Hey, bird. Most people talk about wanting success. Few are willing to earn it. Success doesn't bow to wishful thinking. It answers only to the call of discipline. You cannot stumble into excellence. You must grind your way into it. You must decide over and over again that your purpose is worth the pain. The ones who reach their highest potential are not always the most talented or the most gifted. They are the ones who refuse to give up when quitting looked reasonable. Every dream, every vision, every mountain worth climbing demands a price. The question is never whether the goal is possible. It's whether you are willing to pay that price through consistency, through sacrifice, through relentless self-control. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not meant to be. It's the alarm that rings before sunrise, the repetition of fundamentals when others have moved on to something easier, the refusal to compromise when the world offers shortcuts. There is a moment in every pursuit when effort begins to outweigh excitement. That's where most stop, but that's where the few begin. Discipline doesn't rely on how you feel. It relies on what you promise yourself. It asks you to show up, not when you're inspired, but when you're exhausted. It commands you to stay focused, not when it's convenient, but when it's hard. The fire of discipline burns through the excuses that comfort builds. If you want to see what true power looks like, watch someone who refuses to be moved by circumstance. Watch someone who shows up every day, no matter how they feel. Watch someone who doesn't need motivation because they have commitment. That's discipline in motion. A silent storm that dismantles every obstacle in its way. Dedication and discipline are not built in a single day. They are forged through repetition, through the daily act of choosing progress over pleasure, growth over comfort, and responsibility over excuses. Each small act of control strengthens the will. Each sacrifice sharpens the focus, and each disciplined step takes you closer to the person you're destined to become. The world won't always understand the discipline it takes to rise. They will question your choices. They will call you obsessed. They will say you're doing too much. Let them. Because what they see as obsession is actually alignment. You are aligning your actions with your purpose, your habits with your goals, and your focus with your destiny. That's not obsession. That's clarity. Every legend began as someone who decided to take control of their habits, their time, and their energy. Every great achievement stands on the foundation of discipline. You don't get to greatness by accident. You earn it through the daily decisions that others avoid. The secret is simple, but never easy. Do what you must, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's the courage to stand back up every time you fall. It's the willing to start again when progress feels invisible. It's the understanding that consistency will beat talent when talent refuses to work. When the world sleeps, discipline whispers, keep going. When the body aches, discipline answers, not yet. When doubt creeps in, discipline reminds you, you've come too far to stop now. Deep brew where the fire within you is real, but it needs to be fed. Feed it with discipline. Feed it with dedication. Feed it with the promise that you will not waste the potential that lives inside you. Because at the end of every journey, when the noise returns and the crowd begins to cheer again, the only thing that truly matters is the person you became in the silence, when no one was watching but you. Discipline is the foundation upon which every form of greatness is built. It is the unseen structure that supports every achievement, the quiet strength behind every success story. Without discipline, talent crumbles, dreams fade, and passion burns out long before it reaches T.S. purpose. Discipline is the glue that holds it all together, the force that transforms potential into power and ambition into accomplishment. Many people chase results, but few are willing to build the structure that sustains them. They want the reward without the process, the glory without the grind. But discipline has no shortcuts. It doesn't allow you to skip steps or cheat the system. It demands honesty with your habits, your time, your effort, and your intentions. If you want to build something that lasts, you must start by mastering the basics. Every disciplined person understands that consistency is more valuable than intensity. It's not about doing something great once. It's about doing something good repeatedly until it becomes great. The smallest daily act done with purpose outweighs the occasional burst of effort. Discipline teaches that greatness is not a leap. It's a climb. It's not a moment of brilliance. It's a lifetime of commitment. To be disciplined is to live with structure in a world that glorifies spontaneity. It is to choose order over chaos, to prioritize long-term gain over short-term comfort. Discipline asks you to do the right thing, even when no one is there to praise you for it. It teaches you to value progress over recognition and character over convenience. It doesn't always feel good, but it always produces growth. The foundation of discipline begins with a decision to take ownership of your life, to stop waiting for perfect conditions, to stop blaming the world for what you lack. Discipline starts when you realize that no one is coming to save you, and everything you want requires your own effort. It begins when you stop asking, what if, and start asking, what now? Every time you choose structure over comfort, you lay another brick in the foundation of discipline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your own credibility. That's how confidence is built, not through compliments, but rough consistency. You begin to trust yourself because you've proven time and time again that you can rely on your own word. Discipline is not harshness. It is not cruelty. It is the highest form of self-respect. It says, I value my future enough to control my present. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about guiding yourself. It's the gentle but firm hand that directs you toward what you must do, even when your emotions pull you elsewhere. Emotions may be temporary, but discipline endures. It doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on what you've decided. You can have excuses or you can have progress, but you cannot have both. The disciplined mind chooses progress, even when it hurts. It understands that excuses steal time, and time is the only currency you can never earn back. So it uses every moment wisely. It studies when others sleep, practices when others rest, and persists when others quit. It knows that the reward will come, not immediately, but inevitably. He disciplined person is not perfect. They simply refuse to surrender to distraction. They build routines that strengthen focus and remove temptation. They guard their time like treasure because they know that wasted hours become wasted opportunities. Discipline transforms time into purpose. It turns ordinary days into productive chapters in the story of achievement. When discipline becomes your foundation, you stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for someone to push you, validate you, or remind you why you started. You move because movement itself becomes the standard. You act because action becomes identity. You begin to live by principle, not preference, by commitment, not convenience. The beauty of discipline is that it multiplies itself. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, the things that once felt difficult become habits. The routines that once felt heavy become natural. You stop forcing discipline. It becomes who you are. It seeps into every corner of your life, shaping how you think, how you work, how you respond to challenges. And that's when the real transformation begins. Because once discipline takes root, it doesn't just change your actions. It changes your mindset. You start to see setbacks as lessons. You start to view obstacles as opportunities to prove your strength. You stop fearing the hard path because the hard path is where you built your home. The foundation of discipline is not built in a single day. It's built one choice at a time, in the quiet, in the routine, in the repetition. It's built in those small, almost invisible moments when you decide to do what's right instead of what's easy. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that those small decisions created structure so strong, so unshakable, that nothing could bring it down. Because the truth is simple. Discipline builds everything. Without it, dreams remain dreams. With it, dreams become destiny. The greatest battle any person will ever fight is not against another human being. It's not against circumstance, competition, or environment. The fiercest war takes place within, between the voice that pushes you forward and the one that tries to hold you back, between discipline and doubt, between the drive to rise and the temptation to rest. Inside every one of us lives an enemy. It doesn't wear armor and it doesn't carry a sword. It whispers, it reasons, it negotiates. It tells you that you've done enough for the day, that maybe tomorrow is a better time to start, that you deserve a break even when you haven't earned one. This enemy knows your weaknesses, your fears, and your habits because it is you. It doesn't destroy you through defeat. It destroys you through comfort. Comfort is seductive. It promises peace, but it delivers stagnation. It tells you that you are safe, but safety can be a slow form of death for ambition. The enemy within loves comfort because comfort kills hunger. It dulls the edge of effort and silences the voice that says, keep going. Every great dream begins to die the moment you start choosing ease over effort. The undisciplined mind is its own worst enemy. It builds walls of excuses and calls them reasons. It creates stories that justify mediocrity and names them reality. It's not that the dream was too far. It's that the will was too weak. Every time you give in to laziness, fear, or self-doubt, you feed the very force that wants to keep you ordinary. But there is another side, a voice that doesn't scream, but insists. A voice that says, get up. A voice that doesn't accept your limitations as final, that refuses to let your comfort become your cage. That voice is discipline. It is the commander of your potential, the protector of your vision. It stands between who you are and who you could be, and every day you must decide which voice you will obey. The enemy within doesn't disappear. It evolves. It grows smarter with every victory you earn. It finds new ways to tempt you, pride when you succeed, doubt when you fail, distraction when you're close to breakthrough. That's why discipline must always stay awake. The mind must be trained like a warrior, not just to fight, but to recognize when it's being ambushed by its own weakness. Laziness is not just a lack of movement, it's a lack of direction. Fear is not just hesitation, it's surrender. Doubt is not caution, it's corrosion. They eat away at the structure discipline builds. One small thought at a time. The battle isn't won through motivation, it's won through control. Control of the mind, the body, and the habits that shape both. To defeat the enemy within, you must first learn to listen to it. Recognize its tricks, understand its tone. It will sound like reason, but it's resistance. It will tell you you're tired, but it's lying. You're not tired, you're uncomfortable. And there's a difference. Discipline teaches you to see through that lie. It reminds you that growth lives, then the other side of discomfort. And if you stop moving every time you feel pain, you will never reach your potential. Dedication begins where motivation ends. Anyone can work when it feels good, but discipline thrives when everything inside you wants to stop. It's in those moments of exhaustion, frustration, and doubt that character is forged. When the body says no, but the will says go, you are sculpting the version of yourself that no weakness can destroy. That's what separates the great from the average, not talent, but tolerance. The tolerance for discomfort, the tolerance for boredom, the tolerance for doing what must be done even when the mind begs for escape. The enemy within hates consistency because it cannot survive it. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, every time you do one more rep, read one more page, work one more hour, you starve it. You strip it of its power. You weaken the voice of fear until it becomes background noise. You don't defeat it in a single moment. You defeat it through repetition, through relentless disciplined action. The truth is, the enemy within will always exist. You can't silence it completely, but you can drown it out. You drown it out with action, with progress, with focus. You learn to channel its energy, to turn fear into fuel and doubt into drive. You stop running from it and start mastering it, because the goal is not to destroy the enemy. It's to make it work for you. When you reach that point, you realize something powerful. Every limitation you ever faced was self-imposed. The chains that held you back were never made of steel. They were made of thoughts. And the moment you control those thoughts, you set yourself free. Discipline is freedom disguised as sacrifice. It may feel like struggle in the moment, but it's liberation in the long run. The enemy within can only win if you stop fighting. So fight, not once, but every day. Fight the doubt, fight the comfort, fight the hesitation, and remember, the greatest victories in life are not won on the battlefield, but in the mind. Greatness has a price, and it is never paid in comfort. It demands payment up front, in full, and in silence. It will take your time, your energy, your comfort, and sometimes even your peace. It does not accept excuses. It doesn't care about your circumstances. Greatness only asks one thing of you, everything. The world loves the result, the victory, the recognition, the success. But few understand the cost that lies beneath it. Every great achievement you've ever admired was built on unseen sacrifices. Early mornings that felt endless, late nights that tested patience, countless failures that demanded resilience. The cost of greatness is not hidden. It's just that few are willing to pay it.
Or discipline is the currency of greatness.
Each act of focus, each hour effort, each decision to push through discomfort adds to the payment. There are no discounts, no easy routes, no secret shortcuts. The prick, must be paid in full. Some pay with sweat, some with time, some with years of silent dedication. But all must pay with commitment. The cost begins with letting go of what is easy. You must be willing to abandon convenience. You must be ready to stand alone while others rest. To sacrifice leisure for purpose, comfort for progress, distraction for discipline. Every minute spent chasing comfort is a debt against your potential. Every decision made with purpose is a deposit toward your destiny. Broke greatness requires patience. It moves slowly, testing your endurance long before it rewards your effort. The world will not applaud you in the process. The road will often feel lonely. The work will seem unnoticed. But that is the point. The silence tests your sincerity. It asks, will you still give your best when no one is watching? Will you still show up when no one claps? Will you still push when no one believes? That's the cost. And those who endure that silence are the ones who earn the pound of success. The cost of greatness is also pain. Not the kind that breaks you, but the kind that builds you. Pain is the sculptor of strength. Every failure, every setback, every rejection is a chisel striking the rough stone of your potential. It hurts, but it refines. Without pain, there is no depth. Without struggle, there is no growth. The strongest minds are those that have walked through difficulty and learned to keep walking. Sacrifice is not loss, it is investment. When you give up temporary pleasure for lasting purpose, you are not losing, you are planting. You are planting the seeds of mastery, focus, and integrity. The harvest may not come immediately, but it will come. Every hour of effort sown into your craft will bloom in its own time. The question is not whether the harvest will come. It's whether you will still be standing when it does. The cost of greatness also means giving up the need for validation. You cannot chase greatness and approval at the same time. When you dedicate yourself to excellence, people may misunderstand you. They may call you obsessed, arrogant, or stubborn. Let them. Greatness often looks like madness to those who settle for mediocrity. The disciplined mind doesn't seek permission to grow. It moves forward regardless of who understands. The price of greatness is consistency. Not once a week, not when it's convenient, every day. It demands the same energy on days of triumph as it does on days of failure. It asks you to train when you're tired, to study when you're distracted, to stay focused when everything around you pulls for your attention. Consistency is the tax you pay for mastery. Miss one payment and progress delays its arrival. Every sacrifice, every late night, every moment of fatigue builds something unseen. Character. And character is what sustains greatness long after motivation fades. It is what keeps you grounded when success finally arrives. Because true greatness is not about reaching the top It's about staying there, rooted in the same discipline that built you. The truth is, the cost of greatness is high, but the cost of mediocrity is higher. The price of regret is heavier than the price of sacrifice. Regret haunts, sacrifice strengthens. Regret looks back, discipline looks forward. Regret asks, what if? Discipline answers, even if. So pay the price now. Endure the struggle now. Surrender your comfort now. Because one day, the world will see the results of your discipline, and they will call it talent. They will see the outcomes, not the sacrifices. They will see the light, not the fire that forged it. But you will know the cost you paid to stand there. And that knowledge, that pride, that peace is the true reward of greatness. Greatness doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. The choice to pay the cost every single day. So if you truly want it, stop counting what it takes and start giving what it demands. Because the cost of greatness may be high, but its value is infinite. They yield greatness. It's staying true to your craft when results come slow and recognition feels distant. Dedication teaches that success is not born in intensity, but in consistency. You don't have to be the best every day. You just have to be committed every day. Dedication doesn't care about mood swings. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you've decided. It doesn't depend on inspiration. It depends on integrity. Every time you choose to work through fatigue, to learn through failure, to rise through doubt, you strengthen your dedication. It becomes part of your identity, part of your very being. It stops being something you do. It becomes who you are. The power of dedication is that it transforms effort into excellence. When you dedicate yourself to a goal, you stop chasing perfection and start pursuing progress. You understand that growth takes time and time demands patience. You learn to respect the process, the repetitions, the routines, the rituals. Dedication turns these small, simple actions into building blocks of greatness. Dedication is not just about showing up. It's about showing up with purpose. It's the difference between doing something and becoming something. You can't be dedicated halfway. True dedication consumes you, not in a destructive way, but in a focused one. It sharpens your priorities, trims your distractions, and molds your days around your mission. The dedicated mind knows that every moment wasted in hesitation is a moment stolen from progress. The world often misunderstands dedication. People will say you're too focused, too serious, too obsessed. They'll ask why you care so much, why you push so hard. But what they call obsession, dedication calls alignment. When your actions match your ambitions, you no longer need approval. You need results. And those results come to the ones who stay committed when others walk away. Dedication isn't measured by how loudly you talk about your goals, but by how quietly you purse. You, them. It's not in the announcement. It's in the application. It's not in what you promise. It's in what you practice. The dedicated wake up early, not to prove a point, but to fulfill a purpose. They repeat, refine, and rise, knowing that success is not an event, but a lifestyle. Every journey has moments when the finish line disappears from sight. The progress feels slow, the results invisible, the struggle endless. That's where most give up. But dedication lives for those moments, because in those stretches of uncertainty, dedication becomes the difference. It reminds you that just because you can't see the outcome doesn't mean it isn't forming. The work you put in today builds the strength you'll need tomorrow. Dedication is also an act of faith. Faith in your effort, faith in your growth, faith in the unseen reward. It's believing that every repetition, every hour, every setback is moving you closer, even when it doesn't feel that way. It's refusing to quit because you've learned that progress is not always visible, but it's always happening. The power of dedication is unstoppable because it outlasts everything that tries to break it. Fatigue, failure, frustration, and fear. It cannot be intimidated because it does not depend on circumstance. It simply endures. Dedication is the armor of the relentless. It turns pain into persistence, failure into focus, doubt into drive. And when dedication and discipline move together, they become a force no obstacle can withstand. Discipline sets the rules. Dedication lives by them. Discipline builds the routine. Dedication breathes life into it. Discipline keeps you controlled. Dedication keeps you inspired. Together, they create the unstoppable rhythm of success, one beat of purpose after another. In the end, dedication is not about the work you do, it's about the promise you keep. The promise to yourself that no matter how long it takes, no matter how tough it gets, you will not stop until you fulfilled your purpose. Because the true power of dedication lies not in reaching the goal, but in becoming the kind of person who never quits pursuing it. Key Brewer. So stay committed, stay patient, stay focused, because dedication is not just a path to success. It is success. The journey itself is the reward, and the person you become along the way is the proof that your dedication was never in vain. Effort leaves a trail. Every drop of sweat, every hour of focus, every quiet moment of persistence becomes part of something larger, a legacy that isn't written in words or engraved in stone, but etched into the very fabric of your being. The legacy of effort is what remains long after the work is done, long after the noise fades, long after the applause stops, because in truth, greatness isn't measured by what you achieve. It's measured by what you leave behind. And what you leave behind is built through effort. Every time you give your best, even when no one notices, you add another layer to teach at legacy. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. The work you do in silence becomes the foundation of everything that will one day be admired in public. Effort is the proof of intention. You can dream endlessly, but without effort, dreams are just echoes of what could have been. Effort transforms vision into reality, goals into milestones, and potential into purpose. It is the bridge between the life you imagine and the life you live. Nothing of worth is built without it. No art, no success, no legacy. Every act of effort carries energy forward. It might seem small, but it compounds. The hours you spend studying, training, learning, building, they gather strength, they accumulate into momentum, and one day when the world finally sees what you built, they'll call it talent or luck, but you will know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was effort stacked on effort, day after day, until it became unstoppable. The legacy of effort is powerful because it doesn't depend on outcome. You may not always win. You may not always reach the exact goal you envisioned. But if you gave everything, if you worked with heart, persistence, and integrity, your effort stands as proof that you lived with purpose. Success may fade, trophies may rust, titles may be forgotten, but effort lives forever in the strength it builds and the lives it touches. Effort inspires. People may forget your name, but they will remember how you made them feel. The fire you sparked, the example you set, the standard you raised. The world is changed not by those who talk about effort, but by those who live it. The ones who show that dedication, consistency, and perseverance can outlast any obstacle. The ones who remind others that greatness is not reserved for the chosen few, but earned by the relentless. Legacy isn't built in grand gestures, it's built in daily discipline. In the mornings you rise before the world wakes, in the decisions you make when no one will ever know, in the way you keep push. Even when progress is invisible. Every effort you make becomes a message to the future, a message that says, I refuse to quit. That's what echoes beyond time. That's what becomes legend. The beauty of effort is that it multiplies through others. When you work with discipline and dedication, you give permission for others to do the same. Your persistence becomes someone else's inspiration. Your endurance becomes someone else's reason to keep going. And in that way, your effort outlives you. The true legacy of effort is not what you earn, but what you awaken in others. Effort also reveals character. It exposes truth. Anyone can look strong when life is easy. But when challenges come, effort separates the pretenders from the committed. When others shrink back, the one who keeps pushing forward writes their name into the story of resilience. Every time you give your all, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. And that belief, that quiet confidence earned through effort, becomes unshakable. The legacy of effort is also freedom, because once you know you've given everything, regret loses its grip on you. You don't look back wishing you had tried harder. You look forward knowing you did your best. That peace, that inner certainty is worth more than any recognition the world could offer. Hebrew, your effort is your story. Every challenge you faced, every goal you pursued, every obstacle you've overcome, it all becomes part of a narrative that can't be rewritten. The story of someone who refused to settle, someone who stood tall through storms and stayed focused through struggle, someone whose actions spoke louder than any words ever could. And when the journey is over, when the noise quiets and the lights dim, what will remain is not the applause, not the praise, but the legacy of effort. The proof that you lived fully, worked faithfully, and gave relentlessly. The mark of someone who didn't just exist, but excel. Because in the end, the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs doers. It needs examples of what consistent effort can achieve. Your work, your struggle, your persistence, they matter. They shape not only your destiny, but the possibilities of those who come after you. So build your legacy, not with words, but with effort. Let your actions echo through time. Let your work stand as a testament to what dedication and discipline can accomplish, because long after the moment has passed, effort remains, and the legacy of effort, that quiet, unyielding force, is what will make your name worth remembering.